I was the ultimate shut-in, a guy who hadn't seen sunlight in years. My entire life was my favorite online game, so when the servers shut down permanently, I was facing a nightmare. I'd have to go outside and touch grass. Desperate to avoid that fate, I went looking for another hardcore game, something that would take another decade to beat. I found one that claimed to have no ending, no final boss, no credits. Perfect. I cranked the difficulty to hell mode, picked the hardest class, Summoner, and hit start. That's when my computer literally sucked me into the screen. I woke up as a newborn baby. My new dad, Rudin, was thrilled and named me Alan. My parents were poor farmers, but they gave me more love than I'd ever had. Over the next few months, I learned I was in a rural village where everyone paid taxes to some feudal lord. My dad was a farmer. My mom, Teresia, was a housewife. They were both in their early 20s, so I figured I'd have siblings soon. I was actually looking forward to being part of a real family. One night, remembering every isekai cliché, I tried to open my status window. Instead of a holographic menu, a massive grimoire appeared in front of me. I freaked out, closed it fast, and pretended to be asleep. Once the coast was clear, I pulled it out again. My stats were all rock bottom, as expected. The next page detailed my summoning skill. I could already summon H-rank insects and beasts. Then the book flipped to a new page on its own. It was a message from Elmia, the creator of this world. It said the summoner class was still in open beta, and they apologized if I ran into any bugs. Great. I'm a beta tester in my own life. I tried to summon an insect, but no matter what incantation I used, nothing happened. Then it hit me. I probably had to create the creature first. I made a card for a moth insect, but just as I was about to summon it, I heard my mom coming. I faked sleep and actually passed out. The next morning, my dad was out chopping wood, and my mom was doing laundry. Both were outside. Perfect timing. I used the insect summoning spell, and my room filled with glowing spirit orbs. They condensed into a grasshopper the size of a cat, staring at me with the most hostile expression I'd ever seen. I ordered it to fly to my hand. It turned away and ignored me. Either it was stupid, or I hadn't met the conditions. I checked its status window, named it Dana, and saw it gave me a passive boost to stamina and agility. I let out a gasp of excitement, which made my mom burst in. She took one look at the ugly bug and squashed it instantly. I kept testing my skills whenever I could. Next, I summoned a beast, a white rat. It was as dumb as a rock, just like Dina. I named it Mouse and saw it had a skill called Scurry. I activated it and the thing started zipping around me at insane speeds. I could only create 10 summon cards total, so I made 10 rat cards. This boosted my attack stats. Now at 1 year old, I could chop wood with ease, but it wasn't enough. I was starting to regret picking hell mode. Then my dad came home covered in blood. My mom freaked out, but he was fine. He'd hunted a giant boar. He took me to see it. On the way, we saw massive dinosaur-sized birds called alberons. My dad called them monsters. He told me he named me after them, hoping I'd live freely and fly wherever I wanted. I fell asleep in his arms. When I saw the boar, I touched it and realized how weak I really was. It was a C-rank monster. A neighbor, Goethe, explained it takes 20 men to take one down. I had a lot of work to do. 10 months flew by. I was now a year and 10 months old. I could summon G-rank monsters and even fuse H and G-rank cards. But when I tried to fuse them, I got a notification. Low MP. I was hungry. I ate a massive meal, scaring my parents, and went back to try again. Still low MP. I gave up for the day. 3 years later, at age 5, I finally had enough MP. I fused a G and H rank card into a GH card and summoned a new familiar. It was a bird I named Chep, with high agility and strength, and a voice mimicry skill. I could use that in combat. I took my new familiars outside. Hop was a bird that could only hop. Mole could dig. I was planning ambush tactics when I fell into the hole Mole dug. Reality check. I was still a kid, barely able to fight. Then I heard a voice I dreaded. It was Krina, Gerda's daughter, coming for our daily sparring match. We grabbed wooden swords and she completely demolished me. She was faster, stronger, and I couldn't land a single hit. My parents showed up and my mom's belly was huge. My brother was coming. At dinner, I offered to help on the farm since mom couldn't. My dad refused. They insisted I was just a kid and should keep playing with Krina. They mentioned the evaluation ceremony when I turned 5. If I got good skills, we could be freed from serfdom. They also caught me throwing rocks at a tree. I lied, saying I was protecting mom from monsters. Really, I was testing for other skills. The next day, I was practicing summons when Krina showed up for our daily beatdown. I lost again. My dad came home, and a cricket jumped on my mom. She fell, went into labor, and my brother was born. They named him Mesh, after another monster. Looking at my new family, I realized I didn't miss my old life at all. I was just a lonely workaholic. This was better. I just wanted to free my family from serfdom. Fast forward to the evaluation ceremony. I was 5. My dad explained that everyone, serf or noble, has to attend. If a serf has talent, they can break free. Krina and I went to the city together. The crowd was massive, and other kids were dressed way better than me. Inside the church, we stood before statues of the gods. The middle one was Elmia, the creator. The ceremony started. One by one, kids touched a crystal ball, and their talents appeared on a metal plate behind them. Krina went. She got sword play and physical enhancement. She was ecstatic. Then it was my turn. I touched the ball, and it flickered weakly, then flared up so bright it blinded everyone and knocked me on my ass. My dad ran over and I asked the reverend what my talent was. He said I had none. I ran to the plate and saw a text glitch in my talent description. I cursed the useless devs. Now everyone would think I was talentless. My dad hugged me and said it was time to go home. Back home. My mom hugged me. My dad said talent wasn't everything, and I'd always be his pride. My brother comforted me too. Despite being a poor family, I felt lucky to be born into it. That night, I pulled out my grimoire. I realized my stats were all rank Y because of hell mode. Progress was 1/100th of normal. Anyone else would be pulling their hair out, but I was determined to beat this broken game. The next day, Mom and I were walking, and I asked what was wrong with Dad. She said he'd been like that since last night. Flashback. We were at Krina's celebrating her becoming a sword lord. Krina asked if I knew a sword lord was better than a swordsman. I played dumb. Goethe's wife brought out celebratory liquor. Rudin was congratulating them with a sour face. Goethe called him out, and they started arguing. Rudin said Krina's talent was extraordinary. She could join the knighthood and become a noble, so she shouldn't be socializing with serfs. He was trying to protect Goethe's family from needing to ask for help. The moms ended the fight by smacking both of them. I asked if they always fought like that. Matilda explained they were childhood friends, grew up together, and 10 years ago they decided to move to this new village and build their own houses together. They built them at the same time because they had no labor or infinite supplies. They drank the liquor, and Rudin said he hadn't drunk since his wedding. The next day, a villager warned Goethe that the Order of Knights was coming to see Krina. Krina and I were sparring, then went to town to see the knights. People were gossiping that a sword lord was just a kid. The axe kid asked what I was doing there since I had no talent. Krina jumped in, saying I was stronger than him. The knights arrived, led by Captain Zanoff, a swordmaster. He talked to the village chief, who called Goethe and Krina over. Zanoff asked if she was the sword lord. Krina introduced herself. I was thinking it would be sad if they took her away, but Goethe got upset, saying his daughter had never held a real sword and was only 5. What Zanoff was proposing was crazy. Zanoff responded that if she was a sword lord, she'd be fine, and they had to conduct a test. Otherwise, it would be considered they tricked the knights, and manipulating the evaluation ritual was a sin punishable by death. Things were getting weird. Zanoff ordered the vice captain to prepare for a sword duel to verify her gift. The whole village was shocked. Goethe begged him to reconsider, but Zanoff made it clear if Krina didn't fight, they'd execute both of them. A knight stepped forward and Krina asked if she could take his sword. He said yes. She excitedly told her dad she was going to fight, nearly giving him a heart attack. The fight began. Krina faced Vice Captain Lebrand. She immediately charged, surprising everyone by handling that huge sword. The problem was when Lebrand got serious, he kicked her into a wall. Goethe tried to intervene, but the knight stopped him, and me and her dad too. I was frustrated. Krena had talent, but she couldn't compete with the vice captain's real experience. But Krena got up again and started releasing an aura from within. Lebrand got nervous. Krena rushed him, and now he could only defend. He realized Krena had an extra skill. She broke his sword with one strike. Zenoff ended the fight. Krena, smiling, thanked the vice captain for the fight, commenting he was pretty strong for an old man. The poor guy was only 24, younger than my dad. Goethe, realizing his daughter was a true sword lord, started patting the knights on the head. He picked her up and she laughed. Zenoff approached, apologized for his discourtesy, and said it was time to discuss his daughter's future. He told Goethe his friends could come too. Back at the chief's house, Goethe was still furious, understandably. I wondered what the axe kid was doing there. Zenoff explained he was there by order of the landlord, who wanted to verify the ritual wasn't manipulated. He told the chief that villages usually take the chief's name, but since a sword lord was born here, the landlord wanted the village named Krena. The chief accepted without complaint. Zenoff revealed that 3 years ago, a sword lord was born into a count's family. I found that interesting. Sword lords were supposed to be born among commoners or serfs. Zenoff continued that this sword lord entered royal service, but his performance was unsatisfactory. When they repeated the ritual, they discovered he was just a regular swordsman. Because of that, they discovered several nobles had falsified their talent results. So the royalty became suspicious of the ritual results. That's why Zenoff apologized again to Goethe for testing his daughter. Goethe accepted, and Zenoff revealed Krena would enter the academy at 12 and then serve the royal family. The axe kid asked if he could become a knight by going to the academy, nearly giving his dad a heart attack. He quickly apologized to Zenoff. Zenoff noticed my black hair and eyes. Rudin said I was his son. Goethe introduced his friend Rudin. Surprised, Zenoff stood up, asking if he was the boar hunter. He apologized for not properly greeting the village hero. Rudin asked why he called him that. Zenoff revealed the landlord was delighted every winter to receive the giant boar meat the village sent. He knew Rudin took great risks hunting them, so he congratulated him on his excellent work. Rudin shook his hand, and later we said goodbye to our friends. Walking home, he commented that if a serf like him could earn recognition, then even if life was hard, they should keep living with their heads held high. I understood. My difficulty was on hell mode. Before going home, I told him I had a gift for Mom and Mesh. I asked if maybe I shouldn't have, but then he started laughing and revealed he did the same thing. I finally leveled up my summoning skill. I opened my stats and saw I got the enhanced skill, meaning I could now make higher level summons, and I unlocked F-rank creatures. I wondered if I still needed to fuse cards to get new ones, like with Chet. I also wondered what my next summon type would be and started fantasizing about summoning a dragon. My card slots increased from 20 to 30. It had been 2 years since my skill increased, and I couldn't wait for night to test it. At home that evening, I offered to do the dishes so I could finish chores fast and test my skill in secret. My brother asked if he was getting another sibling. Dad said it could be a brother or sister, you never know. Mom thought it would be a girl. Dad said he'd start thinking of a name. But Mom reminded him he said she could name the girls. He apologized and asked if she had anything in mind. My MP maxed out and my book appeared. When I opened it, I accidentally read Elmea's name out loud, and my parents scolded me. You don't say the Lord's name in vain. I apologized and tried to change the subject, saying my old scar had grown. Rudin said that happened because he passed the god's trial during the boar hunt. I asked what that was. He explained it's a special moment that sometimes happens during hunting, causing a sudden energy burst that heals all wounds and exhaustion. I realized that must be how they describe leveling up in this world. My dad was an experienced boar hunter. I couldn't see his stats, but I bet he had a high level. I knew even with my summoning skill leveling up, I was still level 1 because I never gained EXP. To do that, I'd have to defeat monsters. But serfs aren't allowed to leave the village except to hunt. I asked Dad to take me hunting, but he refused. Too dangerous. Could cost lives. I accepted and went to bed. Later, lying in bed, I thought about the message I received earlier. I'd sent several toxic messages to the admins, and checking, I saw I was right. They fixed the glitched text and my stats. I thought all my stats were rank I because of Hell Mode's slow growth, but seeing my actual stats shocked me. I had S rank in MP and Intelligence, and as many rankings as Krena. I was happy to be rewarded for my effort. I opened the skill book and started enhancing Dina, seeing its stats increase, specifically the ones granting buffs. But the buffs given to me didn't change. I decided to see the improvements and summoned Dina. Just by appearance, I could tell his power increased. This proved a summoner's role was more than just bringing monsters forth. I was happy, but my mom walked in and came face to face with Dina. She panicked and stepped on him. The next day, Dad was leaving to hunt. Mom saw him off. Distracted, I approached, thinking after going through a summoning cycle, I learned that enhancements on a card don't disappear. That meant as long as I had MP to spare, I should enhance every card in my inventory. Mom called me to say goodbye to Dad. I did, and wished him a good day. While hanging laundry, I thought I'd been testing various combinations daily, but still hadn't unlocked any new types. The only test I hadn't done was F-rank insect with F-rank bird. I tried, and finally succeeded, unlocking a new F-rank plant card. I was a bit disappointed by the rank, but seeing the buffs made me happy. It came with an MP buff, which was great for me. Thanks to this buff, I could do much more throughout the day. At this rate, it would take decades to reach the next level, but this card could shave off some years. I decided to see what the card could do and summoned it. An apple appeared. I named it Apo, saying it was clearly not made for fighting. Its skill was aroma. I asked it to use its skill. Apo went into the ground and a seedling grew. I smelled essential oil and thought our boring yard was now closer to becoming a botanical paradise, but I snapped back to reality. I'm not a gardener. My mom approached with my brother calling me for lunch. I told Apo to return, but nothing happened. Mom asked what that seedling was. I played dumb, wondering what Apo's problem was. I went to spar with Krena and got defeated again. But Krena complimented me, saying I'd gotten stronger. I thought my sword mastery skill reached level 3, and inventory expansion gave more space to increase stamina and attack. I wondered if Apo's aroma had any battle effect. Later, I was throwing rocks at a tree. In my thoughts, I'd thrown over 20,000 times, but no sign my skill would evolve. My brother asked when we were leaving because this was boring. Since Mom got pregnant, I'd been responsible for watching Mesh during chores. I thought it was better to focus on leveling my summoning skill. Trying to level throwing wasn't worth it. Still, I kept throwing, believing the next throw might level it up. My brother asked what those trees were. I explained I did some tests and discovered some things, mainly about Apo's skill. The aroma it produced could reduce MP recovery time, which was useful, allowing me to do even more physical activities. That night, I commented to Mom that Dad was late. Teresa wondered why, since Rudin said he'd work nearby. Gerda shouted for Rudin to hang on as several men carried him on a wooden plank. Teresa and I ran to him while Gerda assured him he was home with his family. He explained Rudin was hit hard in the stomach. They only kept him alive thanks to a healing herb called Muller's flower. Teresa was shocked. It was very valuable. Gerda explained he got it from the knights as an apology for what happened with Krena. Without it, they'd be screwed. One of the helpers said it was some dumb commoner's fault. They wanted to make him pay, but Gerda went inside and started crying. I led him inside, and the helpers left. I asked Gerda what really happened. He explained a few days ago, the village chief summoned them. He wanted to let commoners join the hunt because boar meat was valuable to them. Although most goes to the Baron, the leftovers are divided among hunters. Despite that, no commoner had ever volunteered for a hunt. It's too dangerous, and there are casualties every year. But serfs make a living this way, so nothing can be done. I asked why the commoners decided to participate this time. Gerda explained it was because they heard there was a hero among them. Captain Zainoff had called Rudin a legend in front of everyone, so the commoners thought they'd be safe joining the hunt. Neither he nor Rudin were comfortable with amateurs joining, but since it was a direct order from the village chief, they couldn't refuse. To make things worse, the day before the hunt, some people didn't want to practice seriously. On hunt day, they gave the commoners the easiest part, luring the boar. But at the decisive moment, those who didn't want to train ran away, breaking formation. One of them fell trying to escape the boar. Rudin tried to defend the commoner and got hit head-on. Before leaving, Gerda told Teresia and me to stay strong for Rudin, as he'd take time to recover. I felt useless. I hadn't even tried to help. I decided to stay by Teresia's side all night, watching over Rudin constantly. In the early morning, Rudin suddenly woke up, very agitated. Teresia immediately hugged him, relieved to see him conscious. Mesh also ran to hug Dad, while I just watched, wondering what I'd been doing with my life. I'd been completely focused on getting stronger, but having power is useless without purpose. For these people, this isn't a game. They're doing everything to survive in this cruel world. I needed to protect my little brother and the other siblings still to come. Gerda returned, bringing Rudin's share of the meat as promised, and was happy to see him awake. Rudin said he was still pretty bad, but Gerda told him not to worry. He'd make sure his family was well taken care of during winter. I told Dad to rest and let me handle things, promising to keep our family safe. Everyone was surprised by my determination, but I decided to prove my words with actions. I started working, carrying heavy things, which impressed the other servants. I decided it was time to stop pretending. In this village, there was already a rising heroine named Krena, so there's no problem if a talentless guy like me gets a little attention. Family comes first. Teresia thanked me for bringing water, saying it must have been heavy to carry. Later that day, Gerda taught me to harvest potatoes, and I surprised him with my strength. Gerda admitted I was even stronger than he thought. I said I inherited it from Dad. When we finished, I complained that the Baron gets more than half the potatoes after all that work. Still, we'd need other things to survive winter. The village chief suddenly appeared with an offer of fruit, saying he heard Rudin was recovering. Teresia politely thanked him for his generosity, and the commoner responsible for the incident quickly apologized, saying it was all his fault. I glared at him. An apology won't fix anything. But Rudin easily forgave him and told him to be more careful next time if he wanted to keep hunting. The commoner took his words seriously. I was impressed by how magnanimous my dad was. Teresia, however, stood firm and warned the commoner that his mistake almost cost her husband's life. The commoner acknowledged his error and accepted her words, but before he could say more, other servants showed up to see Rudin. Rudin finally smiled and told everyone to relax. He was still recovering. I was simply impressed, realizing I had the best parents. The next day, I decided to create a wide area to run experiments. When I finally finished, I summoned Hopper, and a bunch of colorful frogs jumped on my face one after another. As a second step, I set up several traps and hid nearby, making sure not to be visible. After that, I had the frogs use their provoke skill, and they started hopping around the traps while changing color. I knew this was the most cliché trap ever. But if I could catch about 50 wild birds or fowl, my family could survive winter. After a while, I gave up and admitted this wasn't working, so I decided to rethink everything. But just as I said that, I got excited seeing a wild bird approaching. I realized it wasn't a common bird, but a dangerous Albaron. The monster started devouring the frogs, and I stayed hidden. I didn't expect Provoke to attract a B-rank monster. It's the monster I'm named after, and it looked pretty strong. I knew the best option was to run. Before leaving, I noticed my skill leveled up to 2, allowing me to increase creature attributes from +10 to +20. So I thought it was worth a try. I charged at the bird with my wooden sword, but the Albaron quickly knocked me down. Without hesitation, I summoned Fido. My chance to use my summons in real combat had finally come. Unfortunately, the Albaron wiped out all my summons and hit me even harder than before. I realized I was losing the buffs from each defeated creature, which was weakening me. This was a major drawback of being a summoner. I started thinking this might be the end for me. Continuing the fight, I called on my summons to latch onto the monster's neck and start draining its energy. That way, I managed to break free, though I was severely weakened. Now that I'd applied the buffs, I could call on Pots and Chews to attack. And with a strike to the head, I finally brought it down. My grimoire appeared, telling me I defeated an Albaron and gained 100 EXP. I celebrated, saying it was more satisfying than I imagined. I went to my family to tell them about this feat, bringing the Albaron with me, though I lied, saying I caught it in the sky. Everyone was amazed. My dad asked if I was hurt. I said I was fine. Gerda was impressed. I caught it using just a wooden sword and rocks. But he noticed the bite marks and asked if I'd been bitten. I said I wasn't sure. I was too focused. Gerda simply believed me and told Rudin he'd take care of bleeding the creature. I saw the rooster Gerda had and figured Krena must have hit him. Anyway, details. After that, Gerda took me to help with the Albaron. Gerda explained that out of the 60 kilograms it weighed, after bleeding only 20 kilograms remained. Only half of that was edible. However, the wings were very valuable. I thought it was very kind of him to share that, though Gerda also mentioned that 60% of the beast would go to the chief. This rule also applied to wild monsters, except E-rank ones like horned rabbits and D-rank Albarons. Gerda removed the magic stone from the beast. Those go to the chief since they're useless to us. But back to the important point. A child caught a beast while Rudin was still injured. So maybe we could negotiate something with the village chief. That gave me an idea, and I told Gerda. So we went to the chief's house. We brought the beast to him and told our story. The chief was excited, but we asked if we could keep the beast. The chief said no, because the landlord demands more and more meat. Hearing this, I guess that's why they allow commoners to hunt. Gerda then proposed giving up the feathers and the magic stone, but since that wasn't enough, he sadly explained the situation Rudin's family was in. I joined the act, saying I was hungry and even fainted. With that, we managed to convince the chief to let us keep the beast. But we went further, suggesting we keep the meat while handing over the feathers and magic stone. Gerda reinforced that you don't catch an Albaron every day. The chief thought they must be very hard to catch, so he gave us permission to keep the meat. With that resolved, I went back to the field to catch more Albarons. I used the plants as bait and had the chews drain their energy. Then I stunned them with a rock, had the pots bite them, and finally struck them with my sword, managing to catch 2. I mentioned I hunt once every 3 days, and this was the first time I didn't lose any summons. The grimoire notified me of the EXP gained, reaching 1,000 out of 1,000 and hitting level 2. I saw my attributes would increase, except my skills, but I considered it a great achievement. Finally, after 6 years, I leveled up, and I decided to tell my family. Back home, I showed them what I caught. Rudin was surprised, but I highlighted that I even caught them at the same time. Rudin noticed something but avoided commenting. Suddenly, we heard the bells, knowing it was time to train with Krena. So he saw me dodging, blocking, and taking hits, all while thinking about what I'd do next to survive winter, dry the meat I caught, and then trade it in the village. While counterattacking, I thought I should use the presence of Albarons to kill 20 and reach level 3. Though I doubted I could do that before year's end. Because of this distraction, Krena found an opening and hit me, winning the match. After the fight, she said goodbye, promising to return another day. That night, I was gathered with my parents. Decided not to hide my secret anymore. I told them that when I was 1, I received a divine oracle. My parents were surprised, just as I expected. My dad asked if it was God Elmea, and I confirmed, quoting the words that divine being told me, saying he would grant me wisdom and strength. Teresia didn't really understand that. So I explained that apparently I'm smarter than others and a bit physically stronger. Additionally, I was told my trial would be harder than 100 people combined. Hearing this, my parents lamented, crying out for mercy from the god. Rudin asked if I had just overcome the first trial today because he noticed the scar on my face had disappeared. I was surprised he noticed, and then my dad said he had also overcome his own trial. Amidst all this, my mom asked about the ritual result. I answered that I received an oracle from Elmea 2 months ago about it, and my characteristics were classified as weak because my slow evolution was taken into account. Furthermore, the reason no talent appeared was because mine is completely new. My dad seemed intrigued to know more, but I answered that I still didn't know. Though that was a lie, I just apologized to my dad for lying, but I couldn't risk being labeled a dangerous person if they saw me summoning creatures. My mom approached to hug me, very worried, as she never knew how much I struggled to overcome the trial imposed by God. My dad asked what I planned to do now. I answered that I would keep moving forward. Rudin expected that answer, so he told me not to hesitate to ask for help if I ever needed it. However, he forbade me from telling others, as they might consider it blasphemy against my God. That said, he asked permission to tell Gerda, since he'd been bragging for days because of Krina. I saw no problem with that and agreed. Months passed. I was now cutting Alberon meat with Gerda, who commented that he always thought I wasn't an ordinary child, but never imagined I'd receive a trial from my God. After that, we were seen walking through town with a huge bag of meat. We chatted for a while, and Gerda asked if these were my first purchases. I confirmed. Gerda mentioned that since commoners no longer participated in the hunts, everything had been going better. Speaking of them, I asked what the difference was between us and commoners. Gerda replied it came down to status and taxes, since commoners aren't taxed at 60% like us. Instead, every year they must pay 3 gold coins per adult and 1 per child. This caught my attention, and I took the opportunity to ask if it was possible to become a commoner. Gerda replied it was possible by paying 10 gold coins, but it could also be granted as a reward by the landlord. I did the math, totaling 50 gold coins for my family. Soon after, we arrived at a shop where we traded meat for salt. Then we went to another fruit stall. Returning home in the afternoon, I reviewed everything I learned about prices. Over the following days, I noted everything in my grimoire, discovering that 1 gold coin was worth 100 silver, and 1,000 copper coins equaled 10,000 iron coins. And so on with product prices, thinking I would need to kill only 500 Alberons to get my 50 gold coins. Then I went to another shop to ask if there was any mana recovery potion. There wasn't, so I asked for something to heal wounds, and the seller pointed out some plants. I then sketched them in my grimoire. I also asked about Muller's flowers. The seller commented he didn't have any and couldn't afford them, though he mentioned he had one by chance. It was the one he sold to Gerda last month. He remembered offering to take 3 gold coins instead of 5 to save his friend. In the end, he sold it anyway, losing 2 coins. Knowing what Gerda did for my dad, I was moved and gave him some Alberon meat, saying thanks to him my dad was saved and that another day I'd bring more meat. Leaving the shop, I saw a weapon costing 50 silver coins. At that moment, the blacksmith's son appeared with the chief's son. The first one pushed me, demanding I become his lackey. I was annoyed by this, but not interested in a fight that wouldn't give me experience. Still, I drew my sword to scare him, challenging the axe wielder to draw his weapon and fight. He accepted the duel and told Palomos, the chief's son, to watch while he went to get his weapon. He immediately returned with a hoe. The axe wielder fought well, but not at Krina's level, and with one move I disarmed him. Before leaving, I told Dogora I'd come back to buy something and left, leaving him furious. In the afternoon, we saw Dad removing his bandages and boasting he was good as new. Teresia asked him to be careful not to get hurt again. I enjoyed this family moment, watching everyone chat. The next day, I was at Krina's house training with Dogora, while Dangerous Krina trained with her younger brother. I noticed with me she held back. Dogora tried to attack me by surprise. I managed to dodge, and Dogora ended up crashing into the ground. At the end of training, everyone went home. That night, I and my mom were taking care of my siblings. Dad and Gerda arrived, both with worried expressions. Inside the house, they explained what happened. The landlord had summoned them and decided to increase the hunting quota to 15 boars. This meant commoners would have to participate again. Teresia opposed the decision, but Rudin clarified these were the landlord's orders. Gerda added something even more worrying. If they didn't meet the quota, new serfs would be recruited. I understood the problem well. With more serfs, there would be less land for each family, and some might lose theirs if they didn't meet the quota. Additionally, Gerda warned that next year the quota would rise to 20 boars. Teresia thought this was absurd and too dangerous, but Rudin insisted the landlord didn't care about their opinion. I agreed, saying even if they met the quota, the chief could increase it again, which would only worsen the situation. When Gerda criticized the commoners for being useless, I agreed, but said I could make them useful. I trusted in the wisdom the God of creation gave me and asked them to let me handle it. Days later, I arrived accompanied by the commoners and other servants ready to act. One of the servants commented to Rudin that he took a long time to recover. Rudin apologized to them but said he was now good as new. Another servant asked if I was really going with them. I received an affirmative answer from my dad, who also said they would use my strategy on that day's hunt, but I was only going to observe and wouldn't get involved in the fight. I thanked them for letting me come along, but I wished I could participate in the hunt. However, my stubborn dad wouldn't allow it. Still, I was happy to be able to participate in training the newbies to help the group hunt more boars, because I never wanted to see my dad like that again. The commoner went to Rudin to apologize once more, but the man told him not to worry and focus on his role in the hunt. Goethe gave the signal and the gates opened. I was enchanted by the view. It was my 7th year living as a serf, and it was the first time I managed to leave the village. I spotted a mountain called White Dragon Mountain, and every autumn the boars come down from the mountain to near the village looking for food. Some legends say a white dragon lives there. I got even more excited, because now it really felt like I was living in a fantasy world. However, I was soon pulled from my thoughts when a servant asked if I was already scared, and that's why I wasn't keeping up with them. At the hunting site, Rudin ordered everyone to stay calm and go to their positions. The boar was lured to the spot, and I realized this was really scary. Goethe, leading the first team, ordered everyone to thrust their spears into the boar. Then they pushed hard to hold it and shouted for Rudin. Rudin, leading the second team, came from the flank and started stabbing the boar in its vital points. I realized it was a good method, and that's why they'd successfully hunted so many boars for 10 years. But I thought it was a mistake to count on people they didn't even know to finish the boar. I told the commoners to take their positions. Rudin ordered the attack, and they thrust their spears into the boar, which fell. Rudin and Goethe at the chief's house. They asked why they were summoned. The chief said the Baron would visit them personally next month. Rudin and Goethe were shocked. I thought it wasn't enough to increase the number of boars to 20. Now they'd have to deal with the Baron. The chief explained the Baron became interested in observing the boar hunt. Goethe commented it wasn't enough to increase the number of boars. Now the Baron wanted a show. He asked if the surprises would ever stop. Rudin said it was fine for him, but was confused about why I was there. The chief explained he'd need someone to act as a tour guide for the Baron during his time in the village, and thought I'd be the best choice. Goethe asked why not choose his own son. The chief replied that unfortunately his son wasn't suitable for this task, and asked me if I could take on the responsibility of showing hospitality to the Baron, starting with dinner the day before the hunt. I thought they were basically asking me to entertain the big shot while he was in town. I understood the reason for the Momo fruits, but I thought this payment was too weak. The chief said he heard the hunts were a success thanks to my intelligence, and was sure I could handle this job. I thought frankly I didn't want to deal with the Baron, but I might not have another chance to leave the village as a serf. It would take 10 years hunting boars and alberons before I could reach commoner status. My dad said I didn't have to accept, but I thought I couldn't let this chance pass. The Baron could grant status as a gift, transforming my family from serfs to commoners. So I decided to accept being the Baron's guide. The knights and the Baron arrived at the village, and upon descending from the carriage, the chief welcomed them. Baron Granvelle thanked him and asked for his daughter to accompany him. At de Boer's house, Granvelle thanked him for all the efforts made over these years to establish Crana village. 15 years had passed, and there was no fief more successful than this one. The Baron apologized for the increased demand for boar meat, but said he couldn't ignore an order coming directly from His Majesty. The chief was surprised to discover it was a direct order from the king. The Baron explained technically yes, but the fault lay with Viscount Carmel, who kept drawing the king's attention to the boar hunts. The chief was scared, and the butler asked the Baron not to raise his voice. Food was served and everyone started eating. When the Baron bit into the meat, he was impressed and asked the chief what meat that was. The chief was speechless, but at that moment, I apologized for interrupting and explained it was an Alberon dish made with thigh and liver, flavored with a blend of herbs. Granville asked de Boer if that was his son. The chief explained he was Rudin's son. The knight commander remembered him as his black hair and eyes were familiar. I then greeted Zainoff and said I would be their guide during the hunt. The Baron was impressed by my politeness and asked if my father was a former cavalry member. The chief explained he came from a family of serfs. Cecilia started screaming, asking why there was a serf in the guest hall. The Baron interrupted her and said serfs were members of the fief, and she couldn't treat them like animals. She then apologized to her father. Xenoph told me he was looking forward to the next day's hunt and hoped I'd be able to explain the details during the hunt. He commented that hunting 20 boars in a year must be a difficult goal to beat, and if they were having trouble, the knights could take over the task. Cecilia said it would be wonderful to see the knights kill a boar. The Baron said that after showing the basics, the knights could take responsibility for the hunt. I replied it wouldn't be necessary, as 20 boars was an insignificant number and they'd have no problem meeting the quota. I added that their performance during the hunt would convince them. The next day, the Baron asked Xenoph to take care of Cecilia in case anything went wrong, and the commander accepted the task. The gates were opened, and they went to the hunting site. Arriving there, I showed the structure built so they could observe the hunt. They climbed up, and the Baron appreciated the view. The hunters arrived, and Xenoph was impressed that some even wore armor. I explained they made good use of last year's boars, and the armors were forged from leftover skin, bones, and tusks. The hunt began, and 3 men ran toward the forest. I explained their role was to lure the boars to the hunting grounds, and the key point was speed, so they only used light equipment. I asked them to be patient, as it might take a while to lure the boars there. Xenoph asked me how the swordmaster Krina was doing, as a tutor would be sent in the spring to help her study for the academy entrance exam. I thought it was hard to imagine Krina studying for anything. The first boar arrived. When it passed a certain point, the armored men stopped it. I explained the shields were made with 2 layers of the hardest part of the boar. The attack team advanced and landed the first blow. Soon after, the long spear team appeared. I explained this team was made up of less experienced members. Xenoph really liked how they were handling the battle. The boar was pierced by several spears, and then Rudin delivered the final blow, aiming for the neck, which was the best place to strike. Seeing this, Cecilia fainted, and everyone celebrated the victory. Xenoph told the Baron they weren't cavalry, but true warriors. The Baron commented that at this rate, there'd be no problem meeting the goal. But at that moment, 2 more boars came running. The commander called LeBron to help him, but I said it wouldn't be necessary, as they could handle 2 at once. So we saw the group contain 1 boar and take it down. The Baron's daughter woke up, but seeing that extremely bloody scene, she fainted again. With all the boars down, I declared the hunt over, though I admitted that last double hunt made me nervous. While I was thinking about this, the Baron asked if there were now 17 boars left to hunt. I clarified that no, only 10 were left, as 7 boars had already been hunted that year before the Baron honored them with his presence. The adults were surprised and commented that apparently the captain's knights weren't even needed. I thanked them for the words and, changing the subject, told the Baron I had 2 requests. The first was authorization to build 2 more shield walls to increase hunting efficiency. The second was the possibility of obtaining goods not available in the village, plus authorization to trade liquor among the serfs. The Baron asked why, and I explained that as more boars were hunted, there was a real concern that the abundance of meat would reduce its value in the village. So trading meat for imported liquor would help balance that. I commented the Baron would surely understand. I added that the hunters needed to risk their lives to be effective, and they needed liquor to keep morale high. Captain Xenoph considered the request completely justified, and the Baron promised to consider it. He then congratulated me on my excellent work that day. The Baron's daughter looked at me arrogantly and left without saying a single word. I was confused by the scene and wished she'd quickly return to her comfortable life in the city, hoping not to see her again. Now at the chief's house, the Baron addressed Rudin, Gerda, and me. After what he saw that day, he congratulated them on their incredible hunting skills, and as a good noble, he decided to reward their deeds. I hoped we'd be promoted to commoners, and the Baron announced he was elevating both of them along with their families to commoner status, hoping they'd continue working hard. They were speechless and thanked him at the same time. I celebrated, because no longer being serfs, we could now hunt outside village limits. And our first stop would be the White Dragon Mountains, where we intended to hunt dragons. But there was more. Any serf who had participated in hunts for over 10 years would also receive the same status, leaving it to them to decide who deserved it. So far, the king's request had been fulfilled, but he remembered asking for something else. He wanted to promote Krena village as an example for the kingdom, so he wanted to know the history of the hunts. Rudin and Goethe offered to tell it. It all began in the spring 13 years ago, when 100 serfs were relocated there to develop the land as part of the colonization decree. After 6 months, they had cleared a large part of the forest and were nearing autumn when disaster struck. A boar appeared out of nowhere and devoured all the food they had stored for winter. Many serfs decided to cross the border and fight for food in their old villages, but that meant not coming back. So Rudin spoke up and proposed hunting boars for meat. Everyone united with whatever they had on hand and managed to kill a single boar. To the Baron, it was a story of pride, but they lost a friend. When they defeated the boar, they overcame a trial of the gods and their wounds healed. But their friend didn't survive. Rudin blamed himself to this day, and that's why he protected that commoner in the past. The Baron lamented what happened, but acknowledged that without Rudin, the village wouldn't be what it is today. He asked Rudin to honor his bravery with one more reward, allowing him to request whatever he wanted. I suggested asking for liquor, but Rudin made another request, that his son be allowed to work on the Baron's estate. He believed I had a better mind than him, and that any work would be beneficial. I didn't want to accept, but the Baron considered the idea. Even Sebas the butler thought it was a good proposal, though it would take away my freedom. So the Baron decided to make me a servant of the Granvelle family. No one could believe what they just heard. Cecilia said she didn't want a servant in her house, but now I was a commoner. I tried to find a way to refuse, but I saw Rudin crying with happiness for me and couldn't refuse, accepting to work as a servant. On a new day, Teresia dressed me, and the whole family showed sadness at my imminent departure. When I went out, my friends also came to say goodbye. Krena asked if I was really leaving, and I said yes, telling her to take care. Noticing she was also sad, I proposed one last match. Krena accepted, and the two of us shouted our names in front of our parents, starting the fight. Krena attacked, but I blocked and counterattacked. The parents were moved to see them saying goodbye like that. They soon noticed I was gaining an advantage, and everyone was surprised. I revealed I had used almost all the magic stones I'd accumulated and created 20 copies of Hawkins to increase my agility. While attacking Krena, I thought that soon she would study at the academy and then enter royal service, and maybe we'd never see each other again. So I wanted to say goodbye in the best way possible. I swung my sword, neutralized Krena, and won the match. Krena was surprised to have been defeated, but I suggested we consider it a draw, promising to decide the winner next time we met. Krena accepted with a smile, which reassured me. After the duel, goodbyes began, and then Palomos and Dagora arrived. Dagora handed me a dagger as a farewell gift and walked away without saying anything. After saying goodbye to everyone, I left with my parents. On the way, my dad told me to work hard and go far, and I promised I would. After a few hours, we arrived at the landlord's, who was waiting with a carriage. I said goodbye to my parents and got in, accompanied by the Baron and his daughter. I couldn't help but feel some sadness, especially seeing through the window my mom bursting into tears. Arriving at the Baron's mansion, I was impressed by its size. Soon after, we saw Cecilia on my shoulders trying to reach a fruit on a tree and complaining that I was too short. I suggested she stand on my shoulders, and Cecilia thought it was a good idea, but I warned her that if she fell, she could split my head in half. She climbed up and with some effort managed to grab the fruit, but upon biting it, she said it was disgusting. I commented that fruits growing on tall trees tend to be sour. Cecilia replied that even knowing that, I didn't warn her and let her eat it. I played dumb, saying I forgot. Cecilia then said she wanted to cleanse her palate with a popo fruit and ordered me to go buy it at the market. Suddenly something appeared high above them, and I asked if it was an aircraft, but Cecilia said no. It was a magic ship. I remembered seeing some tools powered by magic stones that Palomos had shown me, like clocks and lights, but I'd never seen anything remotely like that. Later, I woke up in a place that looked like an attic full of cobwebs. I said I slept way too well, Nothing like sleeping in low-quality internet cafes. I smelled an aroma and saw 2 plants. Sniffing them, I realized they had the effect of reducing MP recovery for 6 hours. I started the day excited, but my stomach growled, and I went to the dining hall for breakfast. There I saw several servants, and one of them called me over. I went to the table and he introduced himself as head servant Rika. Rika asked how things were going with Cecilia. I thought she was whiny, but replied things were going okay. Rika said that was part of being a servant like him. If I were just a messenger, they wouldn't demand so much. I asked what exactly was the difference between a messenger and a servant. Rika explained that senior servants include butler, housekeeper, valet, lady's maid, and head chef. The lower ranks are coachman, cook, gardener, manservant, and maid, and all of them are formally considered part of the family. Messengers, on the other hand, are just occasional helpers and therefore don't count as family members. I asked if servants really were considered part of the family, and Rika confirmed. I thought that's why my dad was crying tears of joy. The Baron was generous enough to make me part of the family, and I needed to be grateful for that. I served Cecilia and thought I wasn't surprised by the simple meal of the servants, but I figured the nobility probably didn't eat much better. I wondered if the Baron was one of those who didn't like to spend much. Cecilia's mother told me I learned the basics very quickly and congratulated me. I replied it was all thanks to the teachings of my elders. She really liked the answer and commented to her husband that my manners were far beyond what was expected of a servant. The Baron agreed. Although I had no talent, I realized the Baron had investigated me. Hearing I had no talent, Cecilia laughed, bragging about being a sorceress, a 2-star talent, and saying her older brother was a swordsman. But her father reprimanded her, having told her countless times not to boast about her talent. Her brother Thomas started crying, as he was the only one without talent. The Baron told him to calm down, as he would attend the Nobles' College in the royal capital. Thomas commented he wanted to go to the city academy like I did, but his father refused, saying they only accept those with talent, and that's why he also went to Nobles' College. But he was happy he went, because that's where he met his beloved and built his family. While his mother told Thomas not to let it affect him, Cecilia glared angrily at me, and I didn't understand why the blame had fallen on me again. Later, Rika asked if I was going out, and I confirmed, saying I had the afternoon off. Walking through the city, I thought it was a whole new world compared to the village. I saw the Adventurers Guild and ran inside, asking the receptionist if I could become an adventurer. She asked how old I was, and when I said 8, she refused, saying the minimum age was 12. This left me shaken. I was doing this as a servant out of respect for my dad, but I decided I wouldn't give up hunting monsters. I went to the request board to get more information and saw requests to hunt rabbits, D-rank goblins, giant frogs, plus C-rank quests to hunt orcs and armored ants paying 3 silver. An adventurer arrived and said it wasn't a playground and told me to go home. I apologized and said I was leaving, but I stopped and asked why some rewards didn't have a specified spawn location. The adventurer explained that monsters without a fixed location on the quest could be found in various places, and asked since when he became my teacher to be answering questions. I asked him to calm down and asked how monsters get different rankings, promising to leave as soon as he answered. The adventurer said monster ranking increases with distance from the city. The farther away, the higher the rank, with the highest level being the white dragon living in the mountains. I saw a B-rank quest and asked why no one hunted that monster, since the payment was good and the location was specified. The blue-haired man said that creature was very strong and its speed was immoral, so they preferred to leave it to the knights. I was happy as the adventurer was telling me everything and asked about the white dragon, since the reward had been available for a long time. The adventurer said it was extremely powerful, but there were huge Mephril deposits in the mountains where it lived, and some people were eager to mine it, making me realize Mephril must be worth more than the reward for killing the dragon. 2 female adventurers arrived calling for Raven, saying they'd already received the reward and should go to the bar. One of them asked who the brat was and commented that few people had hair and eyes that color. I thanked the nice guy for teaching me about monsters and left. After that, I was seen running through the city, complaining about the cold, but knowing I couldn't waste my day off. I went to the city gate and the guard asked for my travel authorization. I showed the Granville crest, and the guard apologized and ordered the gate open. The guard asked if I didn't need an escort, but I was so excited I just ran out, having waited too long for this. I knew I shouldn't go too far to avoid attracting dangerous monsters, and thought up to D rank was fine. I stopped at a spot and decided to test my creature's capabilities, summoning Hawkins and ordering it to land. Then I asked it to walk 1 meter to the right, and the bird obeyed, leading me to conclude that with 150 intelligence points, it was smart enough to understand orders. Realizing I hadn't encountered any monsters on the way there, I summoned 5 more rocks and asked them to use their skill to find nearby monsters. And they immediately went out. They finally located goblins. The battle became a strategic experiment. I summoned multiple units, alternated attacks efficiently, and used the Anderina skill, Agia, to put enemies to sleep, leaving them vulnerable. Victory was quick and yielded 1,000 EXP at once. I concluded efficiency was key. Goblins offered less individual XP than boars, but were defeated much faster. I adjusted the radar to focus on groups of 5 or more within a 3-kilometer radius. By day's end, I had taken down 5 rabbits and 80 goblins, accumulating 16,000 EXP and leveling up twice in a single day. During the hunt, I discovered Agia's sleep effect had a high success rate against goblins and could hit multiple targets at once, ensuring total field control. I also learned a system limitation. The level of magic stones determined which summons could be created, requiring a varied stock. Excited, I thought about continuing at night, but realized a problem. My bird-type summons suffered from night blindness. Even being magical, they didn't see well in the dark, forcing me to end the hunt. I panicked, realizing I planned to use Garfo as a guide back, but the summon was blind in the dark. I improvised using iron spheres I had ordered. The investment of 60 silver coins proved useful for orientation and logistics. After 4 intense hunting sessions, I reached level 12, following my strategy of gaining experience and reinvesting in equipment. My routine started attracting attention. The Baron summoned me, praised my performance, and asked what I did on my days off since I left at dawn and returned in the afternoon. Pressured, I admitted I hunted magical creatures outside the city, justifying myself by being Rudin's son and having it in my blood. The argument convinced the Baron. Tension increased when the Baron mentioned the horned rabbits I'd been raising, revealing I was being monitored. The boss believed I was trying to tame beasts to sell meat illegally and advised me to stop. I clarified I only discarded the carcasses. Then, an advantageous agreement emerged. The Granville family would buy each meat for 1 silver coin. With official permission to hunt, I started profiting in addition to gaining experience. I set aggressive goals: kill at least 100 goblins and hunt horned rabbits to accumulate XP, magic stones, and money. During the hunt, my radar detected something moving far beyond normal range. Investigating, I found a trio from the guild cornered and seriously injured. Ravi refused to abandon his companions. Unable to reveal my summons, I decided to fight using only my own attributes. At level 12, with attack and speed above 300 points, I surpassed D-rank monsters without magical help and neutralized the main threats, leaving only 1 weakened goblin for the adventurers to finish. Ravi was at death's door, and the group had no magic power left to heal him. Rita was in despair, but I used the life herb, a rare item generated by Mamataro. The effect was immediate. Bleeding stopped, and Ravi stabilized. Relief washed over the group. Noticing Rita was also injured, I used the herb on her. The adventurers were shocked to see something so valuable being used so casually. To them, it was a rare treasure. To me, it was just a resource from my system that I downplayed as common. Ravi, now recovered, tried to formally thank me for saving the group, but I cut off any attempt at ceremony. I said I was late to meet my daily hunting goal and didn't want fame. As a condition for the rescue, I demanded absolute silence about my identity and abilities. In exchange, I accepted 100 E-rank magic stones. For the adventurers, it was an absurdly low price for their lives. For me, it was the ideal resource to sustain my summons. Raven promised to deliver the batch in a week. I turned the incident into strategic analysis. I compared the Muller's flower used to heal my dad Rudin slowly with the life herb generated by Mamataro, which healed instantly. I concluded the herb worked with fixed and immediate restoration, being much more efficient in emergencies. I also noted I received 160 experience points for the goblin defeated together, about 80% of the total value. Realizing combat division didn't drastically reduce gains, by day's end I accumulated valuable information about healing and experience. And that's where things stand. I've gone from a shut-in gamer to a level 12 summoner, secretly hunting monsters and climbing the ranks while posing as a simple servant. I've got a long way to go before I can challenge that white dragon, but for the first time in this world, I feel like I'm actually playing the game. Thanks for sticking around for the whole story. If you want to see more deep dives into hidden gem isekai and fantasy worlds, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Curious Nerd. We've got plenty more recaps, breakdowns, and anime content coming your way. Check out the next video right here until next time.